Good evening, everyone. This is Pastor C, your breakthrough transformational coach, your sister, and your friend. And I'm on an assignment. I am walking you back through 66 years of my life here on this earth, and I'm sharing a memory from one of those years. And today is day 16 of 27 days of fire, the road to 67, the road to my 67th birthday, April the 27th. And today, we're going to talk about something that's a little embarrassing, but at the same time, I grew from it, I learned from it, and prayerfully, it's going to help somebody else tonight because God definitely dropped this one in my spirit. And when He did, I thought, oh, Lord, you don't mean that one. You don't mean that one. But I'm going to be obedient and I'm going to share it because I really do believe it's going to bless somebody. So, we are, as I said, we're on day 16 of the 27 days of fire, the road to 67. And, this that I'm getting ready to talk about, or this memory, is something I had to learn, and I had to learn the hard way. So as I look back on my early years as a wife and as a mother, I have to be honest. There are some things that I wish I could do over. I mean, I have prayed and said, Lord, if you could just give me another do over, that would be awesome. Now, I've learned as a wife that you can grow, you can adjust, and you can get better. But as a mother, you only get one chance with those early years. And I love my children. I love them and I love them still. But in the beginning, my struggle wasn't loving them. It was setting proper boundaries, okay? Setting proper boundaries. I didn't know how to say no. In the arenas that I was walking in, the church that I was going to, relationships that I was engaged in, I did not know how to say no. And by the time that my son was 2, I was pregnant with my daughter. And I had taken on a major role in the church. I was in meetings, consultations, coordinating outreach. In fact, I was over the outreach team, assisting with administration, preaching and teaching. Man, I was on fire, y'all. But after I had my daughter, I went right back to what I was doing, right? I had her. You would think that maybe I would take a break, slow down a little bit, but nope. After I had her, I went right back at it. The church meetings, the choir practices, singing in the choir, missionary circle, administrating, coming up with teachings, preaching. I was doing it, counseling, running meetings for my pastor when he was out of town. I was doing all those things. But at home, mm, that was another story. I was rushing in the house, throwing something together for dinner, then right back out the door to the choir rehearsal, to the meetings, to ministry. I was just sometimes throwing them, hot dogs and, some hamburgers or, just something quick just to get it over with. And my living room furniture, it was covered in clothes I washed, but I didn't have time to fold. The sink was full of dishes. I didn't even have time to wash. The kids' room, a mess. Our room, my husband and I's room, that was supposed to be a sanctuary, it was a mess. And I remember one night, my daughter was about maybe 5 or 6 months old, and the first lady of the church decided to stop by to visit me. No phone call, no pre-warning. She just showed up. When I looked out the door and saw it was her, my heart dropped. I thought to myself, oh my God, not tonight, as I looked around the house, because my house is a mess. And here she is at the door. So as I said, my house is a mess, and here she is. But anyway, I let her in. What could I do? Leave her on the front porch? Ain't no way. But guess what I did? I left the lights off in the living room. Like she wasn't going to see the mess. She's trying to find somewhere to sit, and I'm trying to act normal. All right. So anyway, we talked, just regular conversation. But when she got ready to leave, she turned to me and she said something to me that stayed with me and has for all these years that I have been alive, since I've known her up to this point. She said, Minister Pfeiffer, you're very intelligent and very gifted, but you need to know this: ministry starts in your home. She said, before you set order in someone else's life, you must first set order in yours. And then she went on to tell me, your husband, he works third shift. He needs his rest. He can't, how can he watch the kids while you run to meetings and he's got to get back up and go to work? And not only that, but he needs a hot meal. Your children need to be nurtured and trained. And then she said, and your house? She didn't even finish the sentence. She said, Minister Phifer, your ministry begins at home. Now, was I upset? No, I wasn't upset. Was I embarrassed? Oh, you bet I was very embarrassed that night. But I needed that because from that moment on, I made an internal and external decision. I will never leave my house without making sure that it's in order. You know, if I'm home during the day, whatever, I tidy up, I do things. If I'm going out of town, I prepare meals for my husband. The laundry is done, it's folded and put away because I learned something. And here's the fire in that moment. This is what the fire revealed. You can be powerful, powerful in public and still be out of order in private. And you know what? God is not pleased with that. When your assignment is out there and it's stronger than your responsibility at home, again, God is not pleased with that. You know, in First Timothy 3 and 5, Paul told Timothy, he said, for if a man know not how to rule his own house, how shall he take care of the church of God? And hear me, this is not just for men, this is for women too. Husbands, wives, your first ministry is each other. Your first responsibility is your home. That's what God has blessed you with. That's what you need to steward and embrace and cherish. And to the parents, those early years with your children, they are so precious and you don't get them back. So, you have to really make some time to pour into them. Make it your responsibility, not the schools, not the babysitters, but your responsibility. Don't build a life that looks successful, but leaves your house empty. Yeah, I know what you're saying, but we're called to serve. We're called to minister. Yeah. Yes, we're called to break yokes in people's lives through the gifts and the talents that we have. That is the commission that Christ gave us. But ministry, true ministry, begins at home first. So let me ask you today, and I want you to really think about this, not just hear it, but feel it with your heart. Where is your life? Have you been giving your best outwardly, but neglecting what matters inwardly? I'm talking about here and in your home. Maybe you're showing up for everybody else, but when you get home, you have nothing left to give to your loved ones. Maybe your patience is strong in public, but short at home. The least little thing just makes you snap. Maybe you're building something great, but your house is silently struggling like mine was. Mine was everything out of order. Maybe your spouse has been needing you and you've been too busy to even notice it. Maybe your children are growing and you're missing moments that you just can't ever get back. Or maybe it's not even time. Maybe it's about presence. You're there, but you're not really there. You're there in body, but your mind is outside that door, at the job, the church, or wherever. And hear me, access in public will never fix what's broken in private. God is not asking you to abandon your calling. That's not what I'm saying. Not at all. But He is asking you to put it in order. The Bible says that an uneven balance is an abomination to the Lord because what you build at home is what sustains everything else. And I want to speak to my single men and women just for a moment. All right, pull up a chair because I just want to share a little tidbit of information with you tonight. Because I know you have desires. You want to be married. You want to be successful. You want to build something meaningful. And that's good. That is great. That's exceptional. But hear me really clearly. Don't wait until you get married to learn how to manage your home. Start now. Set boundaries now. Create order now. Learn how to say no now. All right. No is a complete sentence. No, period. Learn how to cook, how to clean, manage your space, handle your time, protect your peace. Because if you can't manage it alone, you'll struggle. Hear me, you'll struggle managing it with someone else, your life partner, and you really will. Marriage in itself, it doesn't fix disorder, it really reveals it. So, if your life is chaotic now, don't expect a relationship to bring peace to it. You have to establish that first. Build habits now that will bless your future. Create a space now that will reflect the life that you are praying for. Because when God sends someone into your life, you should already be prepared, not trying to figure it out. So, whether you're married or preparing for marriage, the principle is the same. Ministry begins at home. So let me ask you today, and I want you to really think about it again. Where in your life have you been giving your best outwardly, but neglecting what matters inwardly? All right. So listen, this has been day 16 of 27 days of fire, the road to 67. And if this memory touch something in your heart today, I want you to drop some fire in the chat, all right? Because the fire will reveal this too. Order at home creates strength everywhere else. So take care of home first. You know why? Because that's where legacy begins. So I'll talk to you all tomorrow for day 17 of 27 days of fire, the road to 67. And this is Pastor C, your breakthrough transformational coach, your sister and your friend. And I want to let you know that we will not have a Friday empowerment tomorrow, but come back and tune in. Excuse me, a Friday empowerment moments. I got confused for a second. Tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. But I want you to come back tomorrow evening at 6 and travel with me. Continue to travel with me as we go into day 17 of the 27 days of fire, the road to 67. God bless you all, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.